Greetings petrolheads, my name is the Tom, you're on my gaming channel, and it's time for another episode of Automation the Car Company Tycoon Games. So today I'm gonna be reviewing another car, and it's from Caseworks, former Siam Automotive Industries, and it's called the Noble S420. Oh, okay, looks pretty promising. Not gonna go into detail yet about the performance. So let us see. This guy is made from glued aluminium. We have a mid-longitudinal engine placement with double wishbone front and rear suspension and carbon fiber panels. So very sporty indeed, very supercar-like. As are the looks, to be honest, like quad exhausts, these Ferrari-ish taillights fit very well, and the indicators right underneath them, and the vents of course. And look at that attention to detail. I also like this arrangement right here on the front 3/4 and the front bumper. And this car doesn't have headlights, so, well, I imagine it would be a Targa anyway, and you would only drive it by sunshine, so you don't need headlights. Or what about these? Yeah, those are the headlights right there. Anyway, so it is probably rear-wheel drive only. It is. And let's see what powers this thing. It's a 4.2 liter flat plane V8 with 40 valves, made entirely from aluminium to save weight. Then we got a crank that is made from forged steel, if I could speak correctly today. I-beam steel conrods for a very high rev limit, and lightweight forged pistons for the same reason. This car has a pretty long stroke compared to its bore. Like usually when you wanna make an engine very high revving, you go for a high bore and lower stroke, but lower bore and higher stroke has the advantage that it makes it so the engine will be lighter and smaller overall. So maybe he had some trouble fitting this thing into the engine bay, and therefore had to adjust the bond-stroke ratio. That could very well be the case. So we got 10.9:1 compression ratio, which for a 1990 is quite high, and then 62 cam profile is moderately high, not too crazy. VVT on all cams, even before Honda did it. No, Honda had it before 1990, but barely. Anyway, we got multi-point EFI with throttle per cylinder configuration and performance intakes with +8 quality on the fuel system overall. So that makes it so this engine will be very responsive, and it's also relatively economical for, you know, the power it delivers. 12.5:1 fuel mixture doesn't really help with the economy, but it helps with performance. And the exhaust, and what fuel is this running on? Premium 95 octane, good. Exhaust tab, long tubular headers, dual exhausts, adequate pipe size, 2 reverse flow mufflers to make this engine a little bit quieter. I don't fully understand the reason behind that. Then again, the Noble is not only a very fast but also a very comfortable and civilized car, so maybe that's the reason. Yeah, I imagine the cabin won't be too noisy in this car. So let's see what do we got gearbox wise. It's a 5-speed manual gearbox. And a pretty long spacing. Well, actually more moderate. And the top speed is 318. We only have a lip on the front. We do not have a lip or a wing on the rear end, so that's a little bit surprising. Actually, we do have a very narrow lip. You can see it here. Nice. Nice little detail. I actually didn't see it before now. Cool. So yeah, these are probably limiting the top speed just a little bit. We got a viscous LSD, which is fine. 18-inch rims, 305s in the rear and 275s up front to allow for a good amount of grip. 18-inch rims is kind of big for 1990. Then again, in 1990 this would be one of the most powerful road cars. So yeah, it is still understandable why he chose 18-inch rims. Sports tires, obviously. I mean, there's not really much question about that. Vented discs with only 2 pistons up front and 1 in the rear. We do not have brake fade though, so it works out just nicely. Yeah, there's what I was expecting. 100 downforce, like 100 wing angle on the rear end to generate some high speed stability, and 73 up front. Then the downforce is only set to 5 on the under tray. Well, what would happen if I remove that all the way? Yeah, it would make everything worse. Anyway, except for top speed, just barely. Anyway, we got enough cooling airflow and a little something for the brakes as well. This drag graph looks a little funky, but that's just the game. +5 aero quality for some higher top speeds. 2 premium seats with +3 quality is actually... here's the thing, this really does feel more and more like a Noble, because while the Noble doesn't have the most luxurious interior ever, it is still very well made, and it's a comfortable place to sit, and it's also a pretty civilized cabin, if you will. It's not as, you know, it's not as funky as in a Lamborghini Aventador, even though I have to say I kind of like that as well, but the Noble is a little bit more discreet, if you will, and therefore I also understand the premium cassette entertainment, even though it's probably not necessary. Then again, how much does a cassette player weigh? Like, it doesn't add that much weight. It's got power steering, ABS and traction control. ABS it's got, unlike the Noble, so that is one difference there. Advanced safety with +3 quality as well, so you gotta make sure that if your car is fast, it better be safe as well. Progressive springs with adaptive dampers for some pretty high cornering speeds. Passive sway bars because we don't have any other option in 1990. And this looks like a pretty sporty setup here, with a little bit of customization to get 0.94 sportiness and 0.92 drivability. And we got a pretty damn low ride height, but +6 suspension and +6 quality in the suspension, excuse me, will give this some more stability and some overall improved stats all the way. So the final stats are 44.6 drivability, which is not bad at all for a 446 horsepower car. Coincidental drivability stat, I would say. 59.7 sportiness, pretty much what you'd expect. 36.5 comfort is actually really nice. And then 41 prestige and 55.4 safety just add to the overall quality of the car. I think this is definitely, you know, You could say this is what would happen if the noble M600 traveled back into the 90s. This is that kind of car. Like, it's gonna be just stupid fast in a straight line, and probably also perform very well around the corners. But then it will be pretty civilized in everyday driving. It would ride well, and it would, you know, be a pleasant experience overall. It's not intimidating or terrifying like, you know, say a Jaguar XJ220 or you know, Lamborghinis of the time. Rather, it is a very civilized version of a supercar. This is really what this is probably all about. Let's see, let's get this thing accelerating. Let's see what's what. There's 200. Of course, in 5th gear it doesn't pull as hard anymore, but that's to be expected. What really caught my eye here is the braking distance of 30.8 meters from 100 to 0. And that is fantastic for 1990, especially considering that you only have 2 pistons up front and 1 in the rear. So that is truly amazing. So is the quarter mile time of, let's see, 11.3. Just as a reference, that's faster than a current SRT Viper GTS, which is more than 200 horsepower more powerful. And yeah, also has 25 years of technology advantage, if you will. Like, it's made in 2015. Well, it might have came out 1 or 2 years earlier, but you get the idea. It's got the later technology, like newer tires and all that, newer suspension, and more than 200 horsepower more, and yet it's still slower than this car over the quarter mile. Plus, the cornering Gs are nothing to sneeze at either. 1.33 G on the slow and on the fast corners should make it pretty fast around the airfield track. So through the green light and on the way to the last corner and across the line in 121.99. So that is almost as fast as a Mercedes McLaren SLR, which, you know, has almost 200 horsepower more. It's got better tires, better suspension. It's also much heavier though, so that is something that this car really has going for it, is the very low weight of 1154.3 kilograms. That's really the key to what makes this so fast, or one of the key elements I should say, because the other one is obviously the engine. And if you go back to the engine tab, you can see that up here it's got a pretty nice power band. It's also got a torque plateau over here, so that you can afford to go with longer gearing, which you have to if you have a very powerful car with only 5 speeds. So this overall is a very well thought out car, except for, you know, if you really want to sell it to customers, you should probably consider adding some headlights of some sort. Other than that, I can't really find all that much that I don't like about this car, because first of all, I was a little bit skeptical about the 2 pistons and 1 piston brake setup, but seeing how nicely it works out and no brake fade at all, it's fine. It's totally fine. There's no reason not to keep it that way. Yeah, overall, a really good sports car for the 90s, and that can also compete with many of today's sports cars. Not today's supercars anymore, but that's, you know, that's to be expected, because technology moves on. We have 7-speed double clutch gearboxes that can shift faster than you can blink an eye. That's what we got today. Back then you only had, you know, your 3 pedals and a stick, and that's how we move on. So anyway, nice car. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, please click the like button, it helps out a great deal. Subscribe if you want to see more in the future, but for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.